What's going on, everybody? This is Sean of Raw Select Music. Today I want to talk about this behemoth right here. This is the Sekiro Shadows Die Twice 4LP box set released on Laced Records in 2020, or maybe 2021. But Laced Records is a UK-based record label that's actually responsible for quite a few video game soundtracks, and by the look of some of their previous releases, looks like they do a pretty good job in terms of package design and releasing just an overall quality product. Being a huge fan of FromSoft and Sekiro, as soon as I heard that the soundtrack was getting a LP release, I knew I wanted to get my hands on it, especially seeing that it was going to be a limited run product. So now that I've finally gotten my hands on it and had a chance to listen to it, play around with it, and just overall admire it, I wanted to share my thoughts and opinions of this guy with you and let you know whether or not I think it's worth picking up. So with that being said, yeah, let's talk about this guy. Now, rarely do I fawn over package design like this, but this is absolutely a work of art. The box itself is legit, made of fairly sturdy heavyweight material, and definitely capable of securely holding the 4 records kept within, as well as being just an absolute sight to look at. But beyond that, the artwork by Anato Finstark, I think I said that right, on each sleeve is a work of art in and of themselves. Strikingly detailed, each sleeve does a great job of capturing different moments from the game and are truly entrancing to look at. Add on top of that all the different family crests that are adorned on the inner sleeves, and you have a complete package that shows a level of reverence for its source material that I haven't seen on a product for such a long time. My only complaint in terms of the packaging is that the housing box seems just a little bit too tight when taking the individual sleeves in and out of the box set. Whenever you want to return all of them back in, it is a little bit too snug and sometimes can make it very difficult to put them back into the housing case. But that being said, I really like the packaging of this and definitely think from just a purely quality, they really hit it out of the park with this one. And speaking of the records themselves, while I'm no audiophile by any stretch of the imagination, actual pressing of these records is absolutely phenomenal. Rich, deep, detailed music pours out of each one of these fat 180-gram records, and you can really tell there is an extra bit of care put into making sure that you get top quality sound for your money. So when it comes to the presentation of both the music and the art that goes along with it, they really hit it out of the park with this one. Just from a purely aesthetic quality, it is an absolute marvel, and absolutely, even though I don't know how much I'm actually going to be listening to this, I do feel like just as a admirable collector's item, it is absolutely fantastic, and I'm so happy to have my hands on it. Which leads me to talking about the actual music from the Sekiro soundtrack, which, while I do like it, sits probably squarely in third place for me behind Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3. I still think Dark Souls 3 is the best music of all of From Software's games, but that's just me. But largely, I'd say it's a solid soundtrack, especially considering how much more music there is in the game as opposed to FromSoft's previous efforts, which most of the music was just relegated to a few select areas or the individual boss themes. Yuka Kitamura and Noriyuki Asakura did a great job of capturing what could be only described as war-ravaged Japan, and did a great job of mixing in both traditional Japanese instruments and melodies with some strangely Western instrumentation as well. But the fusion of those two sounds together really makes for a very unique soundtrack that doesn't just feel like token traditional Japanese music, and really creates something that's sort of unique in and of itself. And definitely some of the more moody, downtrodden, and sullen pieces in the soundtrack are definitely some of my favorite pieces. Specifically, the Hirata estate music is one of my favorite little ambient moments in this soundtrack, and was definitely a highlight moment for me when it felt like the soundtrack and the game and just the overall immersiveness of the experience all came together for me and made me fall in love with this game. And I definitely tend to favor a lot of those moments more in the soundtrack as opposed to the more war, battle, bombastic pieces, which honestly just feel a little bit too complicated and ultimately really don't feel like they have a tangible quality to them. Honestly, I find the soundtrack works the best when it's experimenting a little bit and trying to do something that's a little bit more moody, as opposed to trying to do something that's a little bit more traditional in a sort of like a war movie epic sort of sound, which sometimes the soundtrack does try to do. And while those pieces are fine, they just don't really do anything for me on a personal level. Well, I'd like to go a little bit more in depth with my thoughts and opinions of the overall quality of the soundtrack from Sekiro. I'm going to save that for a later video, which should be coming out shortly after this video goes live, so be on the lookout for that in the not too distant future. So with all that being said, would I recommend that you pick this up? Absolutely. As a massive FromSoft fan, I was so happy to get my hands on it. They absolutely hit it out of the park in the art and the audio department. The music is great, not my favorite from FromSoft, but definitely still high quality stuff, and I am looking forward to playing it in live sets in the not too distant future, as well as just being able to listen to it on my own. I think the biggest thing that is going to turn a lot of people off is the asking price. Coming in at just about $100, it is a kind of steep ask to get people to pay that much money for a product. Yet, at the end of the day, I still wholeheartedly recommend it. It is a limited quantity product, and the longer you sleep on this, the more difficult and more expensive it is going to be to get your hands on it. So, if you're a massive Sekiro or FromSoft fan like I am, and are debating whether or not you should pick this up, debate no more. Highly recommend you pick up the Sekiro Shadows Die Twice soundtrack. An absolutely worthy addition to not only any video game fans' record collection, but any just music fans' collection in general. So yeah, I'm so happy to add this to my collection. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thanks as always for watching. If you've played Sekiro, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Where does it rank in terms of all the other different games from Software? If you've bought this box set for yourself, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments, as well as if you want to hear anything from this soundtrack, please head over to my WordPress blog, because that's where I post music links to any of the records that I talk about on this channel. And make sure you're here at 2 p.m. Japan Standard Time for Live from the Record Room. There you can hear me play records like the ones that I talk about in these videos, as well as a whole host of other records in my collection that I don't get a chance to talk about in these videos. Links to everything, as always, down in the description. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thanks as always for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. So until then, peace out!